but they didn't see themselves as that. I don't
Right.
know.
Buddhism has a lot of, for Tibetan Buddhism, there are a lot of things informing it though, right? Like there's the Bo, the original.
So it came out of India into Tibet, and then it had all these cultural influences from Bon and the rest. Yeah. The philosophies. This is what's. This is why Tibetan Buddhism is thought of as most authentic. A, because nobody could get through the bloody mountains, and B, they became anally retentive about making sure everything was recorded. Even the recording of the recording was recorded. You know, so when the Indian Pandits came with all this wisdom from all these different traditions, A, the Tibetan language was created so it could describe Dharma. Yeah, so it is a language rooted in wisdom.
Wait,
So
which language?
Tibetan language.
Okay.
Yeah, it was created so it could explain what they were getting from these Hindu Pandits. Yeah, that came over the border to teach the king initially. Yeah, so you can't introduce a universal idea, the law of gravity, if you like, into a place without the people and the beings of that place trying to find metaphors and pictures that describe that law in a way that they can understand it. The Tibetans were just prolific at making statues and themes and ways of explaining things and listing things in a way that included their culture. But what they're describing came from India. It had a different way of, Buddhism sort of died in India as it went to Japan and Tibet and the rest. So the amazing thing, what I was saying, the amazing thing about Tibet is that it remains so true to finding the most secure sources and tracing back, who taught who, and writing these in the sutras and in the books and in the commentaries of the sutras. Yeah, that everywhere else, like Thai Buddhism and the rest, the Pali Canon is probably the most similar to Tibetan Buddhism, that they keep very excellent records and ancient and original copies. Yeah, so I'm not very knowledgeable about it. That's about the extent of what I know about that. So the reason I'm telling you this is we're experiencing what Tibet experienced in the year 700, I think, around 700 AD, when Indian Buddhists who were making this thing a reality, were getting enlightened, were seeing emptiness directly, were trying to understand dependent origination, had been debating for centuries, yeah, until they came to a correct view around meditating and practice. And they came into Tibet, and then they took it in, breathed it into their culture, and out came what we see today as Tibetan Buddhism, with these Thangka paintings looking this way, and the people having that kind of sense about them, and the very elaborate rituals. In America, we are doing exactly that, but we're doing it from two sources. We're doing it from the ancient Indian source and the yogic source, and we're doing it from the ancient and very verified Tibetan Buddhist source, as well as the Zen and the others. For the first time in a very, very long time, on this planet, this blue orb that we are floating in, right here in America and in New York in particular, and in Arizona, we are experiencing a coming together of the most ancient wisdom on the planet, and piecing it together in a way that it was never in India and in Tibet and in Zen. We're pulling from experiences from thousands of years of human beings like you trying to figure it out, allowing themselves to go into caves for decades, debating, being realized, waking up, and all the while informing the people around them in their cultural traditions, through their cultural stuff. You are part of that transition of that Eastern thinking into a Western mindset. And you can't do the light bulb explanation in ancient India or in Tibet. these nuances, this way of understanding the stuff, the laws. I mean, you can't, the way you go and describe the law of gravity to some people will be different depending on the culture. You go to a Brazilian jungle and you explain gravity in a different way to the way you'd explain it here. So you cling onto the law, the idea, the ultimate, and dress it with the stuff that makes sense to the beings that are locked into that culture. In the next 50 years, we will have developed, not deliberately, but from our nature, a different Buddhism. It will look different, but we need to be sure it contains all the precise information that was locked in Tibet and in India. We are doing that now. Not only that, we are verifying what's true and not true through the yogic texts. That's never happened before on this planet. And I'm not just saying it to go, wow, I'm serious about it. And the implications of that, if you know what's happening in Asia, if you know what's happening in China, in Shanghai, they're building Manhattan times 10. They're building the American dream with McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Rolls Royces times 100. They gave up the old way of thinking of these mystical ideas, and they think, man, Coca-Cola's it. We're going to get happy building skyscrapers. Because in the outer stuff, we're going to find happiness. Look at the Americans, they look happy. And we're giving up that because the oil spills are breaking up. We're breaking up. Consumerism is breaking our existence up. We know it's not happiness going shopping because the TV tells us we suck. Because your shoes aren't right, your hair isn't right, this isn't right. We're getting fed up here. I mean, it's taken us 10 years to even begin building the Twin Towers. 10 years, we haven't started. Shanghai, they've built 5 Manhattans already. A dam that's bigger than anyone's ever imagined. I mean, someone was telling me that the dam let go of some water because of a flood. It killed thousands of people or hundreds of people, but enough water came out to slow down the rotation of the earth from one dam. So much water came out of this place. They're building an outer reality for happiness that they're going to find out, shorter than we've found out, that it'll turn to shit. The building will break, the McDonald's won't make them happy, they'll get fat, they'll get cancer. And here in America, in the West, we're really concentrating on the ultimate causes of things. What's making this happen? We're rebuilding an ancient understanding of the world. You, sitting in this class, are making that happen. And in 50 years, they're going to come back and say, teach us, how does stuff work? Because you went through the environmental crisis, you went through the coal crisis, you went through the financial crisis. People in India and China are going to come to us and go, McDonald's makes me fat. Too many commercials make me depressed. The industry of shrinks is growing. All the troubles we've found out, and now we're going inward, and we're coming to some realizations as a society, because the material stuff isn't. I think so. I mean, that's at least my perspective.
I'm not sure.
Well, gradually, I mean, even if we're not, we're realizing things are breaking. Things that we thought were making us happy are breaking everywhere. Yeah, you can't stop them. So anyway, I've got 10 minutes. Did that not answer your question at all?
What was the question?
I can't remember anyway. La la la. Thank you. To think about that. This is true. You know, like in 100 or 200 years, someone's going to look at Buddhist altars or Buddhist paintings, and your views on it are going to be on it. I mean, there's artists now working on Buddhist paintings, and they have gold iPhones on it. I mean, it's amazing. It's wonderful. I mean, it's all an expression of. Don't get stuck on the metaphor. Don't get stuck on the metaphor. It's all pointing to the spectrum that's bigger than what we think it is. Try and connect to that thing that's behind the stuff that's forcing us. There is no Gary over there that gives you the shits. There's no Gary over there that makes you angry. There never was a Gary that makes you angry from his side. You're angry because you've built something inside you, a habitual pattern that forces you to see him as angry, just like it forces you to see a pen. But it feels like a pen, and it feels like he's a bastard. Ignorance. That's ignorance. That's the pig. I'm going to talk about the pig. There's two ways of describing the center of the wheel. This is the engine of the stuff that's causing every suffering. In the original sutra, it was this way. From ignorance comes the chicken or the pigeon and the snake. The pigeon or the chicken means wanting, pecking, what, next. Our minds are doing this like that. Everything, subtly and not so subtly. I like this, I like this, I don't like this, I like that. There's a Gary, there's a lover. There's a Gary, there's a lover. Yeah? This forever, my friend. I mean, who's got friends here? Put your hands up if you've got friends that you trust. Really, you love them. Yeah, they're your friends. Yeah? Who's got people that they dislike? Yeah? Right there and then, you're in the wheel, you're stuck. If your mind's labeled them friends or not friends instantly, yeah, and if you didn't raise your hand to try and hide it, then that's a pig. No. I just added that. That wasn't true. Yeah.
Sooner or later,
yeah.
come up.
But just the idea that I like that one, I don't like that one. It's not out there. It never was. That's the pig. Forcing you to think that he's nice. Forcing you to think that he's not nice. And we think it, but we think it's out there. Now, are there bad people in the world?
No.
Through perception, there is.
Yeah.
Anyone see?
There are.
No.
Yeah. There are people that hurt people. They're rapists and murderers. Are we not sharing that perception? Are there pens in the world? It's hard, right? Your mind should be going to short circuit about now. You have to think about that. You're forced to see angry, bad people in your world. Someone stabbing someone. I walk past someone with a gun to their head, their knee on their chest, saying, mother, bloody this and the other, mother something. Is that real? I bet you it's bloody real for the person with a gun in his face. Yeah? It was real for me. Now, is it inconsistent that it was forced upon me by my perception? Is that inconsistent? No, both things are true. Yeah? There's relative reality or deceptive reality which we are interacting in all the time, and there's ultimate reality, which is the thing that's making this happen, which don't operate here often. Thinking about dependent origination lets you operate here more often. Understanding this and moving the stuff behind the fabric of your reality will shift your reality until there is no human being with a gun to their head. From their own side? No. Forced upon you by your perceptions. Do you see what I'm saying? You're living in a deceptive reality, the narrow beam, yeah? You're forced by these things, not knowing that there's something else maneuvering that world. We think we've figured out atoms, cause and effect, protons, yeah? But we haven't really gone to the ultimate cause, because the ultimate cause is dependent on your perception. It's not dependent on its causes, like the atoms and the rest. It's deeper than that. And you can figure out that deeper thing that's maneuvering your reality, and you alter it, the only problem is there's a timeline. You do an action now, and you can't guarantee when it will happen. Stepping on the cockroach that kills it will kill you. You've just seen yourself extinguish another life form. You have seen yourself remove life from something. It's in your mind. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You are forced to. You must experience that karma, that pot. You can't escape it. It's in you. It's not out there. It's in you. That's what forces you to see something. The problem is the time lag. It sits somewhere in you. If you should take the karma course, it takes about 12 weeks. It sits somewhere in you, in your mind. You carry it with you, with your view, and it grows and it grows and it grows from a tiny seed to a massive tree over time that fruits more and more of that stuff. It's true of the bad stuff and it's true of the good stuff. But because we're stuck in this world, most of our actions are done with ignorance. So even the good karmas we plan are bad good karmas. Yeah? Are dirty white karmas, are dirty good karmas. Because they're ignorant. So there's two ways of drawing this. I'm going in circles. That one became later. This is originally from ignorance comes liking and disliking. Not knowing where things come from, not knowing you can manipulate the thing behind your reality that will change your reality over time. Not knowing that is the pig. So you get angry at the person that's angry at you. You want something, you take it first, even though you know other people want it. Yeah? That just plants you experiencing someone taking something from you that you want later. Whatever the natural response is that we are habituated in this planet, rule of thumb, try the opposite. Try the opposite. The one that came later, the cycle, was described as a mini cycle. Yeah? Because of ignorance you like things, because you like things you dislike things. Because of that you become more ignorant, and it's just another example of the cycle. Both are okay. Just know when you ever see this painting again that the correct way psychologically, because don't forget these are all pointing at truths. It's not the chicken. It's not a snake. It's not Buddhism. It's not Buddhism. Yeah? Call it Lavaism. Doesn't matter. This is your life we're talking about. This is how you walk the planet. Looking at things, I like that, I don't like that, I like that. I don't know how things work. Why did that person get cancer and not that person get cancer? They smoke more than that person. Why? There's a reason to it. You can't say that there's a reason for 80% of things and then there's no reason at all. Not knowing that reason is ignorance. Thinking we figured it out, misknowing that reason is ignorance. So we behave towards things ignorantly. Have I beaten a dead horse yet? No. So because of link 7, which is you have a feeling about something, you're about to do something stupid. And I'll go through it quickly. Say, Gepa Sepa. It's desire, and it's a dude having a beer. Yeah, having a little drink. Yeah, so he's having a little cup of drink. Oh, that tastes good. Yeah, I have a feeling towards something. I want it. That tastes good. So it's desire in your mind mostly. We'll talk about it next week in more detail. Because you've had a feeling, remember we got to contact of your consciousness, your sense powers, and an object with your body. You've got a feeling. I dislike Gary. I like Sam. Yeah? So then that gives you a desire for Sam and a disliking for Gary. In your mind, popped up, the guy has a little sip of beer. Tastes good, yeah? That one tastes bitter, that tastes good. But you get used to the taste. And then what happens? You get gupalepa. You get strong desire, grasping. You get so much of that it forces you to action. It's different from sipping to taking an action from it, you know? I'm going to reach for the fruit, like a monkey. I'm not sitting down and looking at the fruit anymore. So this is a monkey grabbing stuff from a tree, grabbing fruit that's already ripe from the tree. I'm actually getting up off my seat and grabbing the fruit. I'm physically planting more stuff. These two are desire. These are the pig and the snake in disguise. Yeah? Because you've had a feeling about something. This is the cycles that keep us going. Yeah? You have this initial desire, I like that, I don't like that. I had a feeling, I like that, I don't like that. to the point where you go, I can't help myself, I've got to jump out and get that.
Or avoid it.
Or avoid it. Thank you. Sam, I do like you.
Thank you.
Not like that.
Okay. So the grasping is it's like is that when we talk about how you think that the enjoyment or the awfulness is resident inside the object. So like with drinking or whatever, like one time in 8th grade I had like a psychedelically awesome experience with alcohol, and that's really what I'm looking for every time I go back to it, because part of me still thinks that the experience is
That's good, yeah. The initial desire, so the one before, Link's 8, was the psychedelic experience.
Yeah, but that's from like booze, like, the awesome best time.
But then you search for that, and it propels you to act, to actually physically move and go and do an action in the world, other than a mental action. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you go and get your stuff. You've just planted a deeper karma. Yeah. Just so you know, Link 2 is what? Link 2.
A karma.
Fresh karma. Yeah? Which once you've gone and grabbed something, it forces you to Link 10. Link 2 and Link 10 are both karmas. Yeah? Except one is immature karma. You're carrying them around. Yeah? These two are called causes, if you like. These are the things driving your cyclic experiences. Link 2. The karmas planted are forcing you to see the world in a certain way. Link 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Link 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are results of karma, as are Link 11 and 12. We'll talk about them later. You know, Link 12 is aging and death.
But could you repeat that again?
Sure. Link 2 is karma. Link 10 is karma. The difference is Link 10 is very ripe karma, about to burst ripe karma. So ready to blow up in your face karma from Link 2, that it'll force an experience on you. Yeah, I'll talk about that next week in more detail. So Link 2 is initial karma, the very initial karma you start collecting in your mind. Where does it collect? In all the other results, which are Link 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Link 11 and 12. Yeah? So they're results. Then you've got these two karmas which are called the nasties. There's a nursery rhyme in Tibet which reminds children that Link 2 and 10 are karma, Link 3, 4, 5 and 6 are results, blah blah blah. And they call Link 8 and 9 the nasties.
And 10?
10 is karma.
Oh yeah. 8 and 9 are
right, so 8 and 9 are the nasties. Now I can't remember the Tibetan term. The nasties. Yeah? Because they are the things perpetuating the wheel. I mean, you saw this in Maitreya's 6, yeah? You saw desire in there, right? For liking and disliking. So he summarized these into these. They force you to get up off your ass and do some action that will come back in your face, laden with ignorance. That's what's going to happen, yeah? And so Link 10 is then, imagine this seed, imagine this fruit so rottenly ripe, the skin so thin and bursting with nasty heat inside, yeah? Because it's ignorant, it's in this cycle gripped by death, right? Imagine about to burst in the sun and explode in your face. In fact, Link 10, in one way of explaining these things, is the one karma, the one projecting karma they call it, that will force you to experience your next life as a human, hell being, ghost realm, or the other realms, animal or pleasure beings. It will determine at the point of death, as your mind is separating from the body is getting colder, your consciousness is going, what the hell is going on? Oh my God, I am not my body, I can't move it, I am something else. You are aware and conscious, this read the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, go to the Rubin Museum and get knowledgeable about the process, because it's coming. At that point, your mind will choose, like a roulette, a karma from your vast collection of experiences and actions you've done in your past, and make one of them the course for your future life, for the future boat. And it could be anything, because it's just a shift of experience, of perception. It could be anything, but it's going to be the quality of the seeds that you've got in your mind.
The ignorant seeds.
Yeah, you'll be locked in here unless you can figure out what this means and listen to Mr. Buddha, what he's pointing out. Yeah. And can I go 5 minutes over?
Yeah.
What's the image?
It's a pregnant woman about to burst. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thank you. We'll cover it next week. In the original sutras, which I haven't yet seen one, but I've heard Geshe talk about this, it's a vulture. No, it's not this one. It's the next one. Sorry, I'll take that back. It's the next one. The next one is also awesome. This one's it's a pregnant woman about to give birth. Yeah. I have to ask you honestly, there's a couple of misconceptions about Buddhism, right? When we talk about liking and disliking ignorantly, I said before, it's not that you're not supposed to like things and not like things. Yeah? It's about liking them and disliking them in the right way. Hating Gary being a pain in the butt, rapist being rapist, you're supposed to dislike those things. You're not supposed to walk around, and somehow in the West we think that you should put up with it, equanimity or whatever we call it, equanimity, put up with it. It's not true. You're forced to see a crappy existence, an angry boss yelling at you, someone hurting someone else. Are you supposed to just relax? No. In fact, it's a vow in the Bodhisattva vows to go and do something about it. But it's all dependent on your mind, because the karma you're going to plant by interacting with that nasty thing will come back at you stronger. So I can stop Gary if I dislike him in an intelligent way. If I figure out that he's not out there coming from his own side to me, and so I'm going to attack him because he's the cause of my pain. In fact, that's the only way I can guarantee more Garys coming at me. Yeah? If I go and think the person harming the other person is the cause of all that harm, and I go and smack him over the head, that's just guaranteeing more of that experience in my life. Yeah? More of that violence. In fact, recognizing that like the pen, they are empty, they are blank, but I am forced to see them that way. I know it doesn't feel that way in our experience, but they are blank. If you accept the pen, you've got to accept everything. It's the same. You included, your body included, your aging and dying included. That's why the Buddha says you can get out. So then you must act intelligently towards those things so they don't come back at all. So with Gary, I have to be kind. I can still smack this guy in the head to stop him from harming somebody else. But if my understanding of what's happening is correct, I've just planted an amazingly good karma.
It's your intention.
It's your intention, your deep intention. You can't fake your intention to yourself, by the way. Smack him. I think this is a good, that feels really good. You can't do that, right? I've done that. To my brother. And you catch yourself, you're like, oh, this is a good excuse. No, I haven't got right intention. You can't do that. You can't fool yourself. You can't record. Your camera's recording your experiences. You can't I'm pretending it's not that look.
Right.
So having the right understanding. I told you the story of the samurai. This guy, this samurai warrior, someone killed his teacher. And he swore to avenge his teacher and go search for the murderer. And it took him a long, long time to find him. And finally, they're in this chase, and he corners the murderer, and the murderer's cornered. He pulls out his swords, about to kill him, and the murderer spits in his face. So he puts his sword back and walks away. Because he knows that he's about to plant a stupid karma if he kills him because he's angry for being spat at. Yeah? It's different if I killed him for the right reasons. Yeah? With the right view. Yeah? It's different. So it's a metaphor for that. So I want to talk more about whether or not, and I want to leave you with this, is it possible to have the one irritating thing in your life, that thing that gives you most anger, most angst, most hatred, is it possible to get rid of them and their causes forever? You've got to think about this. If they appeared in your life and your response appeared in your life, is it possible to extinguish it forever? Do you believe that for you? I'm hoping you can get to maybe, possible. Because if you do, then you've got to figure out how. Or you could just continue in this beautiful cycle of going to get more shoes because they make you happy until next season the different shoes come out. Yeah, and Donna Karen comes out with something new, or the TV channels tell you to go and get something different, or now it's iPhones, or next is this, or next is that, or the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the this or the that. It never stops. They can't be trusted, these things. And yet we have to interact with them. But if you do it with correct mind, you could utterly shift your experience. The only way for you to do that is you've got to try it. I can't do it. I mean, I wish someone could do it for me. I really do. Sometimes I wish this is too hard. But it's infinitely harder to be lost in the stream of... I mean, imagine we are in this stream of fish just going down with the currents towards the precipice. We are. And some fish leaped up and tried to go the opposite way as we're being smacked in the head at all the other fish going, wear the new Donna Karen, get the new iPhone, and girlfriends are great, you know, relationships are great. Yeah, and going against the current will hit you in the face. You'll get a bit schizo. But also, along the way, you will get evidence for yourself, if you're doing this correctly, that you are altering the stream. Until you look at the stream and it's not dead fish floating downstream at all. You can shift it utterly, if the pen thing is true. Yeah, I feel I haven't done that very well today, and I wish I could share it better for you today. Let's do a bit of a dedication, shall we? Can I ask you please to think that what we've done today, the thinking you've done today, is so precious and so rare. Really, really, how many people are thinking this? That it's possible to stop all suffering. It's so rare. If you can imagine something like smashing down this place in New York City right now and vibrating out, and you imagine that as light or as a vibration or as a sound touching every single living creature from here to the other end of the planet and beyond. Imagine people like you wishing they could figure it out. People now hurting from abuse or loneliness or whatever it is. Imagine that as this thing touches them, the causes for those unhappinesses are gone forever. It's possible to do that, and it's okay to do that. Imagine, dedicate this goodness that you've done in your mind and wish that every creature that gets touched by this impulse that we've done on the planet gets some permanent cessation of their suffering. In fact, if it's hurt that they're experiencing, that it shifts quickly to bliss. If it's hurt that they're getting, that it quickly goes away and it becomes a pleasure. If they're crying from loneliness, that someone rings them, tells them they love them. Imagine that detail for as many people as you can, as we do this funny sound stuff.
Sashi
Jishin Metotran Rira Linchin Yimdegam Hadi Sangha Shindu Miteguwangi Drogun Nanda Shinla Truparsho Yatayami
Dewa
Dinewokun Sunam Yeshe Tzokshin Sunam Yeshe Legendwe Dhamvad Muni Prabhasho. Just imagine that being at the top of your head, entering the crown of your head and down to a place just behind your heart, at the center of your chest. And dissolving that in. Thanks for coming.
Please stay.
Oh, Mike has something to say.
Okay, sorry to take the time. I'm sure everyone wants to go out. About Three Jewels, we used to be a store in the East Village, little store, and we sold juice and books, and we had a little space for a Dharma class at night, about 10, 15 people. And then people were out the door and up the steps and trying to get in, and so we had to find this big space. And we took on, the risk of having good rent, and, but we did it. And we've been there a few years, and it's going so good so far, so that, it's a little rough. And now it's very rough. So now the money's not coming in to pay the rent. So we don't want to close up shop. We like to keep the space available for people like you and the next generation of people like you, and next year and a few years hopefully. But it's not happening. And last month's rent got paid August this month. But we had money in the bank that was for these naturopath physicians to go to Haiti, like 6 people, and they're going to go and we're going to take this grant we got, which is meant only to that purpose, and get them tickets and supplies to treat people in Haiti for a month. Well, that money got spent on last month's rent. So we do need you people to help us pay next month's rent. So what you can do is you can go online, there's a donation button at 3jewels.org. You can throw money in the bowl, or you can talk to me. What else? $1 a day, give up coffee. On the website there's $1 a day to all of those.
No, it's true. If you can,
we don't have big sponsors.
Yeah. Just any little bit counts, and I guess from a karmic point of view, if you think of the right thing as you're doing it, the idea here is. Thanks, Mike. I nearly forgot to mention. You're helping other people get realizations as you're doing. Yeah, you could throw money in the bowl and nothing's going to happen. If it means something to you as you're putting in the bowl, even if it's a quarter, you're just planted the courses for something in your mind as well as allowing people over here to have experiences like with these teachings and yoga and the rest. So encourage you, make it a pleasant thing, a beautiful thing for you. And thank you for coming. I hope to see you next week. 2 more left. Thank you. Yeah, have a great night.
Hector, stop record.
Yeah.
Sorry.